Come on in, come on in. I'm so grateful to see you. It's so good to see your voice, to hear your face, to be in your presence. Yeah, I said it, to hear your face. Yeah, that's what I said. Just trying to wake you up, trying to wake you up. Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Do something. I want to ask for your assistance. That our country is in a kind of a weird place this morning for many of us. So what I want to do before we start is I'd like to create an opportunity for us to light some candles. I need some folks who are willing to get out of your pew and come on up here and light some candles. I've got a table here where Greg is standing. Let's light some candles to begin, okay? Let's do it. Let's take some time. Thank you. Good morning. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got a few candles waiting for you. Okay, just got a few more. Just a few more. We'll save two for Lisa. One for Lisa, one for George. Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Let's do this. I want to just take a moment with you. It's a song that I know that we love to sing here at NCC. I want to sing it with you. But before we do, let's just create a moment, just a moment of silence for ourselves, for our nation. I'm feeling all the feelings today. I'm high, I'm low, I'm in between, I'm all over the place. So what I'd like to do is just create this moment where we can renew our connection. Renew the trust that comes with being in community. When all else fails, we're here together. And that gives me my hope that I need for this day and for the days to come. Now, as you sit in meditation, I want to remind us that over the past 6 months, we've poured our hopes, our joys, and our concerns into this container. The story of our lives poured into this container. And then over here, we just lit a table of candles representing all that we bring today into this space. Past, present, and what happens after today. Our future together. See, in order to be our best selves, past, present, and future, today, we can renew our connection, our friendship, our journey together. So however you may feel, whatever you may bring into this space, whatever's in your heart right now, maybe it's a number of things. Let's together begin to renew the hope that only comes with being together. Choosing this moment, reconnecting in love. Roxanna, can we sing Rainbow Connection?
I don't know, can you?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
There it is.
Why there's so many join me in these words. Cyrus, let's go back to the top. Read these words with me. A moment of being connected and in community together. I'll read my part and I'll ask you to join me. We have not yet learned to love as the universe loves. We have spoken praises in our mouths when our hearts were far from what is possible. Read this next part with me. The gifts given for our peace, we weaponize. Yet even in our failings, love has never failed us. Even when we turned away. Next one. We are still chosen to make love's home among us. Yes, our hearts are troubled. Imagine and hear. Yet creation needs us. Our families need us. Our streets need us. Our cities need us. The soil needs us. Cyrus, our souls need this community. Love, heal us. Love, forgive us. Make us whole again. Let's sing this last verse of the Rainbow Connection together. I am so, so happy to be with you. Encouraged, fed, putting fear in its place over here, and allowing the love of Spirit to mesh my heart. Let's sing the last verse together.
We're actually going to start at the bridge, all of us, which is kind of perfect right now, since it's a rainbow connection. All of us and all of us. We know. Now we're going to modulate. La 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 la.
And service. See, we got to remember who we are, y'all. I know there's a lot out of our control. I know there are circumstances that we can't begin to pluck and move and put this here and put this there. I get that. We're not that unmovable mover that sometimes we like to think we are. I get that. But what is true is that no matter what happens, if we simply remember who we are, you and I, there's still hope for this world. Remember who you are.
This is especially for the women, because I was inspired to write this because of a woman who was my mother. And I'm having the hardest time this week remembering. There's no other way to get to where you're going than the road you walk alone. There's no better dream than what lives on inside you once you have made it your own. And when the clouds of doubt catch you off your guard, just remember who you are. Remember who you are. There's no one like you, no one quite as special. You've got all that you need. Take care of yourself, make your magic happen, make life the best it can be. And when the clouds of doubt catch you off your guard, just remember who you are. You're both the singer and the song, the painter and the painting. Don't waste your life in waiting. Make your mark and remember who you are. And when that voice of doubt whispers in the dark, just remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember who you are.
Yeah, I know. I'm grateful that you said that, because it's kind of a great reminder for all of us, no matter where we are and how we see ourselves today. There's an opportunity. Cyrus, am I okay? All right, thank you. Let's read this. I'll read it for you. See, courage in the face of adversity is not easy, but we find that it usually has a cumulative effect. The more courageous we are today, experiencing the strength that courage nurtures, the more increasingly courageous we are likely to be tomorrow. Certain aspects of human nature can drain us of courage. Common examples are cynicism, when we seem to be compelled to see the worst in people and situations. Material excess, which opposes our call to sacrifice for others in need and place a priority on the comfort of others. And then there's that thing called fear, false evidence appearing real, which clouds our balance and often steers us to be more timid, closed off, or aggressive than courageous. See, a focus on and trust in love helps keep these negatives at bay, allowing us to recognize and then draw more readily on the courage that is very much within us. We find that the gift of courage enables us to live larger, more hopeful, and energetically faithful lives. I must admit to you that this week I've been kind of on a roller coaster of emotions. You know, when I think about the events of the past 5 days, I admit to you that for me it has caused a lot of pain in my spirit, in my heart. Not just because of the result itself, but because of what it says about the spirit and soul of our country today. I think I'm pained more by the temperature than the result. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like the result either, but if we're getting to the heart of the matter, there's something pernicious and dangerous and harmful afoot in our land, and that pains me greatly. And I think as a person of faith, or in our words, a person of a dream, it makes me wonder how that dream will find its way, what journey it must take, what truths it must unlock for your safety, for my bravery, and our future together. What now? I've been feeling all the emotions this week. Sadness because of the result, bewilderment because people have been professing over the past 3-4 days that they somehow know what happened when none of us really knows what happened. Blaming and finger pointing, backbiting, criticisms, all the things that have been swirling around us for the past 3-4 days. Yet I'm just so personally focused on the fact that vision that we wanted for a better world, that vision that we had in mind for a hopeful America, that reconnection that we sought as citizens of this land. I get that. I understand that. And I want to clear out all that noise. I want to get away from all that criticism, all that self-judgment that we've been hearing these past 5 days, and just focus on a timely question. Well, a timeless question, really. A question that I think persists no matter what happens in the midst of a presidential election. Whether the result goes the way you like it or it doesn't, or you're not sure, that question persists yet still. So in the midst of the sadness, in the midst of the bewilderment, in the midst of the wonder, in the midst of the curiosity and all the emotions that go in between, I've got this question. And it's a question that gets me closer to what now? And that question simply is, who do we choose to be? Who do we choose to be? I'm not talking about the United States of America this morning. I'm not talking about Laguna Beach, California. I'm talking about you and me. This community, the hearts and minds that make up this. Not the buildings, not the sidewalks, the blood, the breath, the sweat, and the tears that makes all this possible. You and me. Who do we choose to be? See, we have an opportunity to re-embody the values that we have cared and nurtured and held in our hearts for so many moments, years even. When we see that we no longer have control of all the circumstances we're facing, when we see that we are no longer able to orchestrate and direct all the steps of the day, when we now gaze clear eyes and open ears and enraptured hearts at the truth of all that is and our inability to control and manipulate it, yet still there persists a chance to answer the question for ourselves, who do we choose to be? And this moment, it pushes us, it expands us, it calls upon us to reach deeper, to dig longer, to linger more expansively, to take that courage and substitute it with more courage. Yeah. Answering fear with truth. Answering that kind of division with community. Understanding the truth of our pain and allowing it to fuel us and our actions this day and for the days forward. Not allowing the fear that has encapsulated so much of these last 5 days, not allowing that fear to overwhelm us, to overtake us, to take us to a place where we retreat. We retreat in despair over what hasn't happened instead of focusing on what we can do with what we have. Who do we choose to be? When we gaze at the temperature and traumas rampant in our land, our decision, our response to that is uniquely entrusted to each of us. We have the power over what we do with what's before us. I didn't say we save it. I didn't say we fix it. I said our response. I didn't say we have all the answers. I said our response. See, let me put it this way. When things don't quite go the way perhaps that we want it, we still have a choice. I'm going to be completely frank with you. For many in our land, we are experiencing a kind of trauma, a kind of common story that transcends all of the differences and identities that make us up who we are. I'm talking about folks of all kinds of races and religion, folks of all kinds of class, or even folks in different parties. A lot of us are sitting with a lot of sadness this morning over the truth of our nation. That trauma is real. And it's having a huge impact on us, even as I speak this. Many of us wondering about the next step, the uncertainty that has been caused by this. But let me share something with you that you may not be fully aware of, or maybe you heard about this before, but you didn't quite understand it in a way that I'm going to help you try to understand it now. See, I know how a trauma can impact a people. I didn't say a person, I said a people. See, my ancestors and their ancestors, they dealt with compounded trauma for generations. It affected their stories. It affected their happiness. It affected their joyfulness. It affected their connection, their community. It impacted their ability to really go inside themselves and to find hope when there is no reason to hope, when there's no perceived reason to find the joy. See, I come from a story. Perhaps you do too. I'm not the only one. I'm just speaking for myself. See, I come from a historical story where traumas, well, they became part of the day. They became part of the experience. They starts to become normalized. So much so that you struggle at times. You struggle at times to find that hope. So I'm speaking personally today. I know what I'm talking about. When I was growing up in Memphis, I went to a museum, and there was an exhibit that I got to attend as a little kid. And this was a beautiful exhibition that really taught us about the importance of being with nature, being outside. They took the museum and they turned it as if it was outdoors. You had trees, and you had grass, and you had beautiful, beautiful scents. You could smell the room as if you were outside with the pine trees and the flowers and the waters flowing. It felt so powerful, so visceral in our hearts. Well, there was one moment that I'll never forget. I'll never forget this. There was one room as part of the exhibit. When we went inside, it was pitch black. It was so dark in the room, we couldn't see our hands before us. Imagine that with me. And I remember going into the room and our tour guide telling us, see, you gotta keep walking. You may not be able to see the next step. You may not be able to fully comprehend what is next, but just keep walking. Because the more you walk, the closer you'll get to the light, and the more things will become clear. See, that's the lesson I'm taking from this moment. That's the lesson I've been working with all week. For when the things seem uncertain and much is beyond our grasp, there are moments like this when we are called upon to choose one more time, to recommit ourselves yet again to doing one simple thing, one simple step, and that is taking the next one. Choosing to walk through that void, choosing to walk through that darkness, choosing not to let that trauma overwhelm us, just like my ancestors did for generations, but to keep walking, to keep moving, to keep doing our best with what we have and trusting the universe to take care of the rest. See, I carry that lesson with me as I think about my answer to the question, what now? And I don't think I'm the only one. I don't believe I'm the only one in this room who has known what it is to sit with that truth of life, but to find our way through the unknown. To take that step-by-step journey with each other, to choose to be community, to choose to be in love. I know I'm not the only one. See, that's our answer to what it means and what it means to choose to be in love. That answer is to simply take the next best step. I'm thinking about the practices that we can all embody. Those practices of mindfulness, an awareness. Find those tender moments of prayer and reflection for your own life. Those things that will help you process your grief and process your fear. Let's not retreat away. Let's engage with ourselves and those we hold dear. Let's find those sweet moments of reflection for our lives, that they will carry us through this moment, just like they did those who came before, just like they did my grandmother and my great-grandmother and her great-grandmother. Made it possible for me to be here today because they kept that perspective. They stayed connected. They never lost that hope of being in community. And then I'm mindful because not only do I have the chance to be reflective with those I hold so dear, I can even be mindful of my own need to take care of myself, to rest well and to eat healthy and to laugh and to sing and to dance and to move, to do the things that feed myself holistically. Mind, body, and spirit, that keep me right for the journey, that allow me to simply put fear over here to the side and be motivated to move forward. I'm even thinking about our spiritual center and how you and I can begin to be a part of a conversation, a national conversation about recapturing the spirit of America. Asking ourselves the hard questions about what can a spiritual community do to begin to change the temperature and foundations of conversation around racism and sexism and corporate power and the kind of disconnectedness that we see rampant among our nation. I'm not talking about parties, I'm talking about power. How can a spiritual community begin to speak back and to push back against the pernicious, pervasive experience of power? I'm not talking about parties. You can be in whatever party you want. I'm talking about power, power, power. And so how can a spiritual community be a response to that evil of power? How can we use our power to positivity and light? See, that's the questions I'm thinking about. How you care for yourself personally. How you care for those you love. How we respond to power. How we be the exponents we choose to be for love. That's where my heart is. That's where my answer sits. That's the steps of journeys I want to take with you. See, what I'm highlighting today is that this journey, this work that we do together, it will not be easy. That's why we need each other. That's why we need the building blocks. That's why we need the presence as one community. That's why we choose to be in love. My ancestors experienced this. They've been here. They were here. And just like them, we have a choice. Who do we choose to be?
Jennifer Baker, my dream, right here, that just saved me. Yeah. And I apologize, some of you don't know that. We need to use books and look at music sometimes. Wouldn't that be a novel idea? Let's get these back in here. Yeah, okay. And thank you, Jennifer, because my watch came off at the same time. So it is true, time flies. It went. It happened.
So Mike and I have been asked to say something about something that we celebrate this fall. And I want to celebrate the level of health that I have. I went through a pretty awful period when my right arm was hurting so badly that I couldn't play my instrument. I could barely reach for something off of a shelf. And I had to really shut down for a little while and see a bunch of doctors and get a bunch of tests and figure out what was wrong. So I saw a neurologist, and he ordered 2 MRIs and an X-ray, 2 X-rays and a CT scan. And I called the hospital to schedule the CT scan, and they said, "Oh yes, we have the order, and you can come in today." This was on a Friday afternoon. I went, "Well, not my idea of a Friday, fun time, but I'll go." So I went on. I never had a CT scan before, but I'm lying on this table and I'm going through this big machine. And the CT scan was supposed to be of my cervical spine, and so I come out and I wait. They tell me to just relax, lie down on the table, and wait till they get the results. And they come back in and they say, "You have to report to the emergency room immediately because you have acute appendicitis." Imagine my surprise. So it turns out a long time ago, back in July, when I first went to the doctor to talk about these problems, I had some little twinges of pain in my lower right abdomen, and I thought, well, I don't know what this is, but I'll mention it since I already have an appointment. I'll mention it, and I did. And she ordered a CT scan at that time. Then the next day there was no pain, whole week no pain. So I message her and say, do I need this CT scan if I'm not in any pain? And she says, no. So I'd forgotten it was ever ordered. Meanwhile, they had not yet gotten the order for the one on my neck. And so I went through a couple of hours wondering, what in the world is going on? I'm in the emergency room with appendicitis when I thought I was having my neck looked at. And then I finally remembered that old thing that had happened. But it was a blessing in disguise because I did, in fact, have appendicitis. I had to have my appendix removed. It's removed. I'm fine. Everything's great. And even my arm isn't hurting so much anymore. And now Mike's going to tell his story.
Happy Sunday? Yeah? Happy Sunday? Okay. I just want to, put into kind of a box. The effects that the election have had on many of us are pretty dramatic, okay? Let's not be afraid to mention that. And so with that, there's some depression and some anxiety and other things that come about. But the bottom line is to try to remember steadfastly that how appreciative we may be. In my case, I'm extremely grateful, and it makes me happy during a time of depression or sadness or bad things happening. It makes me happy to have the communal aspects of my church and this family that I love. And it makes it better and more acceptable and something that I can more easily fathom and deal with as a result of the love and the people and our pastor and our church. My expression of happiness is to dwell within that world. And I want to thank you all. And let's continue on be strong. When we feel beaten, that's when you get up. That's when you stand up. And that's when you go forward. Feeling a little repelled? Walk forward. Take the next step. Why dwell on that stuff that's not so good? What will be the solution needs to formulate. And that can only happen when the steps are taken. So we'll take what's happened to us and let's move forward. Enough said.
So in a minute, Peter Griffith is going to come talk to us about stewardship. But before he does, we're going to have a brief mission moment with Sally Barron. Sally, will you come up, please?
As she comes up, come on up, Sal. And there's one thing I do have to announce. This is not happy, and that is that we are canceling the craft fair, and simply because I'm going to go ahead and mention it, Rod, I hope you don't mind, that we really didn't have the bandwidth. In other words, the day would come for the craft fair, and we'd have the same 30 people here, most of us at tables. And there, as far as gathering people from the community come and attend, we didn't feel we had that. So we didn't want to be embarrassed, okay, by having a very small, ineffectual craft fair and having all that trouble go to, okay? So the decision was made to cancel the craft fair, so it will not be going on, just so you know. Okay, sorry about that. And now Sally. Yay!
Wow, look at all of you. Anyway, well, Malawi. I don't know about you, but I had never heard of Malawi before. And now I know that it is a very small country in southeastern Africa. It is one of the least developed countries in Africa. 80% of the people there are subsistence farmers, meaning they're so poor that they have to grow the food that they eat. And if they don't grow it, they don't eat. So a woman by the name of Mary Ellen Carter and her husband happened to be in Malawi for a conference. Can't imagine that, but they were there, and she was so taken by the people and their situation that she formed a nonprofit called Direct Connections to Africa, which we have been supporting for many years now. And our role in this effort is to provide school supplies for a class, a third grade class in Mangochi, Malawi. The class was originally held outside because there wasn't room in the school for them, but now they have a classroom, a teacher, and a class of 80 children. Not all of which ever show up, but there's 80 in the class. They receive no assistance from the government at all. No breakfast in the morning, no school supplies provided, no, nothing. Most of the kids eat one meal a day. And they go with what they've got. Our role is to provide them with what they need in order to learn. And 4 times a year, we send a box full of school supplies. All right. For those of you who don't know, this is the box. It's not all that big. This is the box. And in it, we put everything we can think of that they will need: paper, notebooks, pencils, erasers, rulers, guides for the teacher. I just sent a box a couple of weeks ago, and it was this box, $132.05 to send to Malawi. Now, how do we pay for that? We pay for that with that green recycle bin out there on the patio. We collect recyclables, aluminum cans, number 1 plastic bottles, mostly, and redeem them. I just took a carload full of recyclables in a couple of weeks ago and got over $70 for it, which only pays for half of the next box we send. So we could certainly use your recyclables, aluminum cans, number 1 plastic bottles mostly. And the great thing is, for us anyway, what is so wonderful about this program, aside from what they accomplish, is that when the box arrives, it is taken to the classroom unopened, and it is opened in front of the students. Photographs are taken, and it's like Christmas morning. They bring out everything in the box for the kids. I tell you, my heart melts when I see a picture of this classroom full of beautiful black children with beautiful smiles on their faces, holding one pencil in the air. This is their pencil, and they are thrilled to death to get this pencil. It's amazing. So if you want to be able to help supply these children with what they need in order to learn, put your recyclables in that can out there, and I'm happy to take them and get some money for them. So again, thank you very much.
Okay, so it's fall. It's that time of year to think about stewardship and how we can give to this community. You should have all received a letter that looked something like this with a pledge card in it in the mail, maybe in the last week or so. We're asking you to return that by this Friday. We've kind of shortened the time frame so that we can just sort of get this done. So we ask you to think about what it takes to run a campus like this. There's a lot of mundane things: electricity, water, care of the grounds. Then there's other things like the staff that run the office, pastor. All these things are things we kind of take for granted, but the funds that you provide on an annual basis help to support those. But we also want you to think about where we're headed in the future and the things that we're going to need in order to grow this community. In this coming year, we expect to have we expect to be launching the Spiritual Center more publicly. So there'll be a lot of things we're going to need in terms of communication, website development, things just to be able to communicate out to community members as well with email tools and things like that. We're also going to be developing programs for doing more fund development. So there's some software and different things that we're going to be needing in order to accomplish that. Um, and so if you could take a look at your personal finances and contribute what you can. We all have different amounts that we're able to give back to the community. No gift is too small. So fill out the pledge card, and we ask you to get that back to either the church office. You can mail it in, you can hand deliver it, or you can bring it next Sunday, I guess, and put it in the collection plate or give it to a trustee. It's as simple as that. So I think the amount that you gave the prior year is on the pledge card. So if you forgot kind of what you were doing this past year, that's a reminder. But thank you for your consideration, and look forward to helping to grow the community here. Thanks.
And if you did not receive your pledge card, please see me or Peter after today's gathering, and we'll be sure to give you a copy of it. All right? I am so grateful because, as we said, we choose to be a community of love. So your gifts, your energy, your passion are what fuels what we are doing in the midst of all that we're facing. There is so much hope in my heart because of our future together. Now, one thing I want you to be aware of for the Spiritual Center, it's my intent to have a launch plan worked out for the Spiritual Center with your leadership team before February, okay? So we are close. We're close. We are so close to having something that we can use upon which to build our foundation. So your dollars, your support is going to help us realize this plan, realize this vision, right? Realize this vision, this future together. That's in part what you're helping us to fund. Now, I know we have been so patient with respect to the Spiritual Center. We have been so patient. But I want you to realize part of the reason why we did that is because of the housing. We wanted to get the housing out. We wanted to get the project out there. We wanted to get the project live, all right? So the intent here is to get that project hopefully approved by the city in the first quarter of next year. And once our housing is approved in the first quarter of next year, we are then free to launch our Spiritual Center. Okay? So that's the intent. That's what we're moving towards. That's the journey we're on. And so your support, your dollars are more critical than ever, because next year is our year when we get to choose who we want to be. Remember, the question is, who do we choose to be? Next year, the community will have a chance to experience that with us. Our housing and our Spiritual Center. Your dollars are so helpful and so critical to that. See, we're not just talking about making a change, we're actually becoming the change. In the midst of all we face and all that we experience, the hope that we have here is enough to take the next step. Do you agree? Do you agree? You excited? You excited? I'm excited because I know that doing this with you is truly what it's all about, and I'm so, so grateful. Now, I want you to do something for me today. At least one person who you haven't spoken with all week. Maybe you lost touch with them on Tuesday. You got busy over the course of the week. You didn't have the energy. Things got out of place, a little bit off kilter. But someone that you love, just one person today, I want you to reach out to them and sing a song to them, or at least hum the words, or at least just say the words to them. It's called I Just Called to Say I Love You. Let's sing it together, or at least hold it in our hearts. Let's do it. I just called to say I love you.
No New Year's Day. much I care. I just called to say, and I mean from the bottom of my heart, no summer's Why are you calling? I just called.
to say I love you.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask for money. I just called to say how much I care. I just called to say
I love you.
and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, of my heart, of my heart.
Someone just asked me, Pastor, can you tell me what I gave last year, what I pledged a year ago? The answer is yes. If you see me after the service today, I should have a sheet of paper with your name and your numbers on it. So talk to me. I'll be happy to give you that information after the service today. Please see me after the service. Okay, I got one more thing I want to do, and then we'll be on our way. Peter, come on up. Come on up, Peter. We just want to quickly update you on where we are with respect to the housing. It's very important that you get this information. What is it, Peter? Yeah, I'm going to get there. So we want to make sure we get you this update. A lot of things are happening with respect to the housing project. You know, you have to know that your dollars, your support, but not just that, your volunteering, your leadership, everything that you've poured into this process so far, it's allowed us to continue step by step. And there are a lot of things that we've been able to anticipate, and some things we haven't been able to anticipate, things that have happened, things that will continue to happen, right? Uncertainty, but also hope, all wrapped up into one. And so I want to thank you for hanging in there. We want to share an update with you today.